Dan Wilson, the skipper of this group, with us right now. Good morning, sir.
Gentlemen, great to be here.
Thanks for showing up and sitting down with us. We appreciate it. I'll jump right into it because you've said something now a couple times, and Brock has always told me that when coaches or managers repeat themselves, that it's something you should pay attention to. And I've heard you say it, and then I heard Logan repeat it, and that is the word battle. You said 162 battles, maybe more, hopefully more after all is said and done. And it definitely piqued my interest. When you say 162 battles, what does that mean for you? Is that a strategy? Is that a mentality? What does that mean?
That's a good question. I think for me, really, it's about it's a mentality, and we talked about it a little bit last year. That when we get to 7 o'clock, it's time to go to war. It's time to battle. Having Lou Piniella as a manager and a guy that at 7 o'clock wanted to win more than anybody in that stadium. You really got the impression that every day, every game that you take the field is the most important game. It's the biggest game of the year that day. And, yesterday's day is gone. Can't do anything about that. Tomorrow has not come close. It sounds cliche, but we can get distracted often when we start thinking about some of the outside stuff that happens, the things that happened yesterday, worrying about tomorrow. But what's really important is taking the field, being 100%, being completely present for that game that night, and then when you get there, it's time to battle, it's time to fight, and our guys, to take that mentality into the batter's box, to take that mentality into the field on defense, to take that mentality on the bases, and to take that on the mound. All that is important. There are individual battles in a game, but overall, you want to win that team battle every night, and that to me is important.
So if that's the mentality, how does that affect the strategy as the manager? Because everything I've ever learned about this game says you got to play it over 162, and if you strategize to win every single battle, you're probably going to end up losing the war. So how do you balance those two things together?
Man, we're just throwing the metaphors around here.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
this is great. No, but you're right. I think there is a balance there at times, and I think as a manager, as a coaching staff, you do need to think long term at times as well, and that's where the balance comes in. That's where the trickiness of a long 162 game season comes in. But I don't think we can lose that mentality each and every night we go out there. That's how we have to take the field. Our guys did that so well towards the end of the year last year, and hopefully that's what we're going to continue to try to do. Considering all the long-term effects, no doubt. But each time you take the field, you got to be ready to go to battle, and that's what the guys have done.
When the hay went in the barn, and you could actually take a little bit of a breath and reflect upon those 11 or so series you got to manage at the end of the year, what was your biggest takeaway?
I think having been through manager changes during a season, those are really difficult situations. There's a lot of emotion behind it. It's a group of guys, and a lot of us don't know what we're even feeling at the time, right? And the guys responded incredibly well. The staff responded incredibly well. We were still in it. We still fought. We still fought really, really hard. There were times where our guys could have cashed it in. We were getting late. We had a couple losing streaks of 2, 3, 4 games. But these guys just continued to come back time and time again. The resiliency was off the charts, and that's what was impressive to me. And it's a really strong group, and I'm really looking forward to getting a chance to start this season with them and continue it through, because it's a really fun group, and it's a group that's been together for a while, and I think that's a huge benefit. There's not a lot of down here in spring training, there's not a lot of, hey, nice to meet you, how's your family? Like, these guys know each other. We're starting from a different base, and we're going to get started on a good foot.
What is your approach to managing Julio Rodriguez?
I don't know if there is. This is an incredibly talented player. Probably one of the most talented players in the league, if not the most talented player in the league. And the way he continues to play, the way he continues to work down here, the sky is the limit for Julio. And giving him an opportunity just to show what he does on a daily basis. it's a privilege for a manager to write his name in the lineup. You know, he's got all the tools. Defensively, runs the ball down as well as anyone. Has power. We saw yesterday. I thought his at bat yesterday in the ball game, just hitting an absolute rocket to right center field. You know, anytime he puts the barrel to the ball, it's 110 plus off that barrel, and you know, just you know, getting him the consistency of doing that. Wow, I think the sky's the limit for Julio.
So you said the consistency. That's been really the only question. I mean, we all know he's the most talented. He's amazing. But how do you get what you got in the last month of the season as opposed to some of the other months that just haven't been the same? How do you get that consistency out of Julio?
Well, I think first and foremost really is the approach. And I know that Gar has just continued to hit that. And you know, the offensive guys, Kevin Seitzer, Bobby Magianis, that whole group has worked so well together. And, you know, that continues to be the message, is just the idea of middle of the field. And, again, getting back to that battling, you know, kind of thought and mindset, you know, battling with two strikes and putting the ball in play when you can, you know, and I think we continue to see that. And with Julio yesterday, you know, that idea of getting the ball into right center there, picking up a couple RBIs on the double, I think that is going to lead to a lot more consistency at the plate for all our guys, really. And that's the fun part of that kind of approach.
When did you know you wanted to do this?
That's a really good question. You know, I don't know if you're ever prepared. I think, you know, I would describe the end of the season last year as drinking from a fire hose. I think we've heard that phrase a lot. It is a lot, and I don't know. It's hard to anticipate what it's all about.
But while we saw you here over these 16 years, and many of the years we would see you here working with the catchers and all the work you did through the farm system, the work you did in the broadcast booth. You know, was there a part, and I'm going to get into coaching this fall, which is going to be fun for me for the first time, certainly not a head coaching capacity, but I kind of know, like, all right, this is, I want to do this. Like, while you were in these different roles and capacity, in the back of your head, did you go, gosh darn it, one day I'd like to be Lou Piniella. One day I'd like to put that manager cap on somewhere.
I mean, I think it was something that you know, you kind of always think about as a player and as a person that's been around the game for a while. You thought about it, not knowing whether that opportunity would ever come.
Yeah.
I think my wife and I talked about it and was like, yeah, if that opportunity ever came, it'd be something that would be really, you know, interesting, and it would, you know, let's do it.
Interesting.
And it's certainly, you know, it came, you know, kind of unexpectedly. But you know, I think my hope is just to bring, you know, what I can bring to this role. I think there's a lot of established relationships that have certainly helped, you know, having been through the minor leagues with a lot of these guys and having prior relationships, as you mentioned, in spring training with some of the guys. That has really helped, and you know, I can't say enough about the way these guys have responded, and I'm truly grateful for the opportunity, and I'm truly grateful for this group of guys, for sure.
Why is Jay Buhner not here as a bench coach? What am I missing?
Yeah.
Jay was here earlier.
I know.
You guys missed him.
Can you imagine having Jay in there every day?
No.
I think I could. I think that'd be pretty interesting. How aggressive will your team be? I was one of we felt like the hallmarks last year, and Justin Hollander was on, and he kind of disagreed with me a little bit on how much old school approach to baseball we saw in the last few months last year, and whether there was a strategic shift or not. How aggressive will this team be? Will we see more bunting, small ball, hit and run, steal? Like, what does that look like from your perspective?
Yeah, good question. You know, I think that, you know, we talk a little bit before about the idea of long-term and short-term thinking. You have to have both. I think there is, you know, I think we, as a general rule, will be aggressive as a team. I think, you know, that's the way our team is built. We have some guys, especially towards the top of the lineup, that can really use their speed, can really put pressure on the defense. That's what we want to do. We want to make the other team, whether it's the pitcher or whether it's the defense, we want to make them earn it. You know, they're gonna have to earn getting us out. And so, you know, I think that's a huge part of our mindset, especially offensively. But at the same time, you can't just run into outs. You can't be stupid about it either, and so you have to balance it a little bit. But as a general rule, you know, the guys that have that ability to run, to put pressure on the defense, I think that's what we're going to try to do, and I think that not only gets us 90 feet closer to home plate, which is what we want, it also, affects the pitcher. It allows for more mistakes for our hitters, and that's when really a lot of damage can be done.
So what about giving up outs? Not running into them, but giving them up. I mean, over the last, let's call it 30 years, baseball's changed considerably, and those 27 outs became the one premium that everybody cared about. And they say, hey, let's play for the 3-4 run inning, crooked numbers, forget about just trying to get one. Let's let these incredible hitters try to get 3 or 4 or 5. In T-Mobile, that's really hard to do. So will we see a concerted effort to bunt and play for 1 as opposed to trying to open it up and play for 3, 4, or 5?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's contextual, obviously, but I do think that when you look at the number of games that we play that are close, we play so many one-run games. We have such a great pitching staff that keeps us in the game very late. A lot of our games are won in that 6, 7, 8, 9 inning range. Anytime you can add a run on, I think is important. And whether it's, the run that gets you the lead that's important, or that second or third run that allows you to use your bullpen a little bit differently, I think all those are equally important. And when we can add on, we're going to be looking to add on, whether it comes from a bunt, whether it comes from a stolen base. Contextual, hard to know, but I think the idea of adding runs, especially for this team, and especially when you look at how close this team has come over the last 3-4 years of getting to a postseason, that one run can really make the difference, in a season. So, we look forward to adding on when we can and getting those runs across the plate as much as possible.
I don't mean to hog this, but just one. I know I'm hogging the interview. Last thing on this subject.
Does this all the time.
Is any of that affected by just how freaking good pitching is now?
Yeah, I mean, I think you see it against us. I mean, our pitching staff is arguably the best in the league. When you look at the way teams try to approach it, they know they're in for a tough at bat. When they get on base, they are wanting to push the envelope because they know they're not going to get many opportunities to do it. So when you take that league wide, pitching is better. And when you look at what we do on offense, we know pitching is good. So runs are a premium, and we want to get as many guys to touch home plate as we can.
We know you got to get running here in a couple minutes. Logan shared with us earlier this morning that you had some pillars right away when it came to pitchers and catchers camp, and coming in here and kind of right away you kind of put your voice, and here's going to be some of the pillars of Mariners baseball under you and your staff's leadership. What are some of those?
I think we talked about several things, and the first thing on the list really was the idea of grace, and it's not a word you hear a lot, but I think with players in the game today, I think it's important that they understand that they're going to be supported by a coaching staff, through thick and thin, and I think especially when guys struggle, is when coaches are needed the most. And so extending grace to our guys as much as possible is really, really important. I think the flip side of that is truth, and that's another one too. You can't lie to players. You have to tell them the truth. They have to understand, the things they need to do to get better. There needs to be accountability involved. So, those are a couple of the pillars for sure. And preparation is another one. We want to prepare our guys down here. We want to prepare our guys for the 162 battles we're going to face. When we get to Seattle. And then the last thing is fun. You got to have a lot of fun in this game. And if you don't, this game will eat you alive. And it's a long season. So, those are some of the things we talked about. And that's what we as a staff, are going to bring our guys during the season and all throughout the whole year.
Did you want another? I took a lot of time. Would you like another question?
No, I want to honor his time.
I know. We got a couple minutes.
He's a skipper.
I'll ask about Randy Arozarena then, because I'm fascinated by Randy. He seems like an incredibly interesting character. He's loud on the field. He seems to be incredibly quiet off the field. What have you learned about Randy, and how will we get to feel him over the course of this season?
Yeah, Randy is tremendous talent, and when you look at the 2020 that he has had in his first 4 seasons as a player, I think the sky's the limit with Randy Arozarena, and what he can bring to this club is he brings a lot of life for sure on the field, like you mentioned. Give him a ton of credit. He put in a ton of work this offseason. And the way he has approached the things offensively that we've talked about has been outstanding. And watching his batting practice, watching the way he's approached his swing this year, just flat out awesome. I really am excited about where things are going with Randy, and defensively made a lot of strides there. That he can run it down. I think our outfield is as dynamic as it comes when you look at the three or four guys that we're going to be able to put out there. So, I think I'm really excited to see where his season goes this year. I know Edgar has worked a ton with him in the cage, and they have really connected, and looking forward to seeing the fruits of that labor.
Okay, last thing, and this just comes from observing a little bit and talking to folks around here, just like what's the difference in the feel of camp, right? After a bunch of years, and what's different this year, and a common refrain has just been the temperature maybe turned down just a little bit. You know, it isn't just meeting or run it. It's just the temperature's turned down, so maybe guys can connect a little bit more, right? We see some lounges and we see some more chairs. And was that an intentional move to just kind of try to build some more connective tissue?
I think, again, there's a balance there.
Yeah.
There's a tension in there in that. But I do think it's important to come together as a team, no question. These guys, we mentioned, they know each other, which is a great thing. And the more we can use that to our advantage and bring people together, the better. And, I think one thing that as a staff we like to talk about is letting our guys go out at 7 o'clock with some freedom. The ability to just let it fly, trust the preparation that has gone into each night, and then go out and play. And you got to get out of your head when it's time to compete and when it's go time. And when we're able to do that, I think that's when we're at our best. And that's what we're hoping to accomplish as we get prepared for March 27th.
I don't know if you want to break news here or anything this morning, but a casual observer couldn't help but note that Logan Gilbert started, and then Luis Castillo started the next game, and then George Kirby today, Bryce Miller tomorrow. Is that your rotation heading into the season?
That's an astute observation, but we have not decided yet on an opening day starter. I know that's a big point of people wanting to try to figure it out. We've got a lot of questions that need to get answered yet. We've got 3 off days down here. We've got 4 split squads, so there's ways to jumble things up as we get a little bit closer. No decisions yet made at all on the opening day starter, but you guys will be the first to know. Among the first.
I'm sure it'll be us first. Yes, that makes perfect sense. Last thing, I'd just like to give you an opportunity to talk about some of the young guys that have made an impression. I know every time I watch Ben Williamson, I can't take my eyes off of what he's done defensively. I hear from the people out there in the observation world that he doesn't have a major league swing. I don't know what I'm missing, because it sure looks like a major league swing to me. Ben, Cole Young, Colt Emerson, what are you seeing? Laz Montez, what are you seeing with the young guys, and who could make a contribution this year?
Yeah, great question. You look at, you mentioned Ben Williamson. I think he was 112 off his bat yesterday too as well. He's been swinging the bat well, but you can't really single out just one guy. All these guys have played well. They've played without fear, which is tough. As a young player, getting your opportunity here in big league camp, a lot of times there's tentativeness. There's the mindset of not wanting to make a mistake. That's not how these guys play, and that's been awesome to see these guys go out there and be aggressive and do the things that they do that make them successful. You look at this organization, we have a lot of young position players that are poised and ready to make another step towards the big leagues. It's been fun to give these guys opportunities down here because they've done a lot with those opportunities. So we'll just continue to watch these guys develop. Cole Young is a guy that can really swing the bat and plays, a really nice second base. So he's a guy to watch, and Ben Williamson has made a splash here, especially early in camp. But there's guys behind them too, the Michael Arroyos, the Colt Emersons. I mean, these guys really are pushing each other, and that's what you want in an organization where you got the next wave of guys waiting to take their opportunities.
We know you got to run. Any one player you want to brag about? Somebody who worked their butt off this offseason that's impressed you here, that maybe we don't notice because we don't get to see all the intricate details. Any one player you just want to brag about?
You're going to think I'm going to be diplomatic about this, but I'm not going to mention one because all of them came into the camp very, very prepared. I think that's one of the things, and we've talked about it as a staff in there, that we've all been very impressed with. They came into this camp. They've put a lot of work into the offseason to a man. And that's been really, really great to see. Sometimes you get to camp and there's a guy over here or two guys over here that didn't do the work. You can tell on day one. There has been it's actually been the opposite, where we've gotten to camp and day one we're like, wow, these guys have really put in the work to be ready. That's an awesome feeling.
I kind of missed one, I'd say. I mean, Alvin Davis has managed 13 briskets on that smoker,
Yeah.
80 pounds. I think 80.
80's brisket for sure is
there you
top
go.
of the camp. No doubt. No
Skip,
doubt.
we appreciate it. Thanks so much for sitting down with us, and we'll look forward to chatting throughout the year and to watching this team take shape.
Awesome. Enjoy the sunshine,
Appreciate it,
guys.
man.
All right,
Thank
there you
you.
go.
Hey, thanks for watching us at Spring Training. If you want more of this kind of content, it's pretty easy. Just subscribe.
Yep, and you can always download the Seattle Sports app as well.